Are you looking for a vacation close to home? I've got two suggestions. Disney and dude ranches. And by the way, what's a dude ranch? Stick around. My guest today is Colleen Atherton of Eaglewings Travels. Colleen is an expert travel advisor located in Wichita, Kansas, and has been meeting the needs of her clients since 2012. An expert in all things Europe, Colleen has traveled to over 97 countries, including just about every country in Europe except 3. She's cruised the 7 seas and has been traveled to all of the continents except 1. Hi, Colleen. Welcome to RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, Ken. It's a pleasure to speak with you today.
Likewise. So, Colleen, today we're talking about vacations close to home.
Yes.
You had mentioned 2 that are currently popular with your clients, Disney World and dude ranches. Now, I have to confess, I know nothing about dude ranches. When I think of dude ranches, I think of my mind turns to Billy Crystal and a 2-week cattle drive. Is that what it's about? Tell me, what exactly is a dude ranch?
Well, dude ranches vary widely what they offer and include, but a lot of my clients were looking for something all-inclusive, but they didn't really want to leave the country. So I started looking into dude ranches, and living in Kansas, we're all about horses. So, and I had a couple of granddaughters who love horses and ride a lot. So I started researching dude ranches, and White Stallion Ranch near Tucson was willing to let me come down and experience their ranch. So we had a wonderful time down there, and the girls loved it, begged me to take them back again. They are all inclusive in that all of your meals and snacks and non-alcoholic drinks and your activities are included.
Right. White Stallion, that's in Arizona, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so in terms of the day-to-day activities, what's involved there, Colleen?
Well, in addition to riding, and they have riding experiences for all ability groups. So they had short, easy rides all the way to all-day rides up into the mountains.
Right.
And the girls, of course, experienced that. But they also have other activities like e-bikes, which are the electric bikes, and we would ride through the desert there. And I really enjoyed that. That was fun for me. And they have archery. The girls got pretty proficient at archery, and they have shooting. So they have black powder shooting, which is the old fashioned guns that you have to load the powder and the ball and everything. And I did that, and it was a neat experience. Then they have 45 shooting that you can do. They have a range where you can go out there and shoot.
So how long were you there?
We were there a week.
It sounds like a really great vacation for families. A lot of history.
Yes, but surprisingly, my 2 granddaughters were the only kids there. It was very adult.
Really?
Yeah, supported. So there were groups of adults there, ladies groups and couples, and they were the only kids there for several days.
Interesting.
In the evening, they had different people come in. So one guy brought in different desert animals and told about them, and some of them we got to handle and pet, and then a guy came in and did a roping show that was very interesting, and he was very proficient with the rope. They had interesting evening entertainment also.
Yeah, so it's a good all around all-inclusive vacations for, it can be multi-generation, it can be families, and even groups of people. It'd probably be a lot of fun for
yes, I think it would.
Group to go.
Yes. And they had conference rooms where you could have meetings if you wanted. They also had venue for weddings and they had a campfire in the evening and the guy played his guitar, and it was very Westerny, but nice, very nice facilities, modern cabins with in-suite bathrooms, and all the food was home cooked food, no packaged anything like you get on the cruise ships, but all home cooked they had their own gal who lived there that did it all. And
so no beans and franks over the campfire?
No. A lot of barbecue. I mean,
I betcha.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fascinating. So what was the weather like when you were there?
It was cool in the mornings and hot in the afternoons, but we were there in February. I imagine now it's pretty hot most of the time, but they also had a bar where you could purchase drinks.
Okay.
But the alcoholic drinks were not included like they are in Caribbean all-inclusive resorts.
Okay. So you're on to buy your own beer.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that it was like you were there in February and the climate was decent. To get fairly hot in Arizona in the summer.
Yeah.
But I gather you've got other options for dude ranches in cooler climes. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I have another ranch that I am sending clients to that's up in Wyoming, and they wanted somewhere cooler for their summer trip, and this one is very nice also, and it includes all the meals and activities. In fact, they have whitewater rafting up there.
Oh, really? Oh,
and
nice.
They also have extended rides where you ride out and camp out all night, and for those that want to experience something like that.
Right. And what lodge was that now?
That's Medicine Bow Lodge.
Oh, right. Yes.
In Wyoming. Yes. Right. And again, they have all home cooked meals. Yeah. They have a gal there, that one of the owners actually, who does all the cooking, and they try to use local fresh ingredients, and it's very healthy.
I actually reached out to the folks at Medicine Bow Lodge when I knew you were coming on the show, and one of their taglines is they're keeping it real and authentic. And they seem like actually wonderful down home people.
Yeah,
I think that it could be that sounds like it'd be a great experience for the same. Do they do groups and?
Yes, they do. They have facilities where extended families can come, and they can accommodate them in a cabin that adjoins larger cabins that families can stay in.
Gotcha. Understand. Well, dude ranches certainly sound like a great family adventure. But like a lot of us, I'm also a really big kid at heart, and we've all been anxious to travel again. And I understand that Disney World, the happiest place on earth, is starting to get going again. And I gather they're open for business. What can travelers expect from Disney?
Well, I traveled down to Disney World with a couple of my grandkids too. Since I have 14, I have a bunch to choose from. So two of them went down with me to the Dude Ranch, and then two different ones went with me to Disneyland World. And because I wanted to see how they were handling things firsthand, so I could better assist my clients who want to go there. They are open, but there's quite a few restrictions in place. So when you make a reservation, you need to check the calendar to make sure they have availability for the days you want to be there at the parks you want to go to. Right. Because you have to make a reservation for the specific park that you want to go to on the specific date that you're going to be there.
What about vaccinations and that sort of thing?
They're not requiring vaccinations currently, nor testing, but they have been doing temperature checks when you go in.
Right.
So they do that. Obviously, if you're sick and not feeling well, you shouldn't go. That's just common sense.
Exactly. Do we know if they're running at full capacity yet, Colleen? I don't think they are they?
No, they're not. And when we were down there, they were only at about 30%. So it was very empty looking compared to other times when I've been there. And they do enforce them wearing masks. Yeah. And and social distancing. So the queues
Yeah.
seem really, really long because everybody's so spread out, but they really weren't that long when you started timing it.
Well, I'm aging myself here. I haven't been at Disney World in almost 50 years. The one thing that I remember about Disney World was the crowds and the long queues.
Yeah.
So now if people want to go and, you do your homework and you do pick out when you want to go and get there, for the time being, it's not going to be quite near as crowded for those people that may actually want a little bit more space. Would you agree with that?
Yes, although recently they have increased their capacity percentage. So
Right.
it's getting slowly back to where it was,
Yeah.
but not quite yet.
Right.
The one of the biggest drawbacks for a lot of people is that they're not having the fireworks at night, the fireworks show.
Right.
They don't have scheduled parades, but they do randomly start a parade just sporadically.
Right.
So you're walking down the pathway and here comes the parade all of a sudden. Yeah. So you never know when it's going to happen. And the same with the characters. They do have the characters, but they're not doing the hugs and the pictures and all of that right now. They're usually up on a balcony or somewhere. Right. You can see them, but you can't get real close. It's the same with the character dining. They're having the character dining experiences, but the characters don't come around and touch and hug the kids.
Right.
So some of the magic's there, but not all of the magic.
Yeah. Here's a wish for the magic to return as soon as possible.
Yeah. I agree.
Because one thing, the one thing I'll say about Disney, it is truly a magical place. And
yes, it is.
Everybody should experience it at least once or twice in their lifetimes. And if possible, with your grandkids. It's just a wonderful thing. So, Colleen, one of the things I always like to ask my guests when they come on is, number one, what's their bucket list vacation? And what are your plans for travel in the near future, or what's going on with you?
Well, my personal bucket list is to check off that number 7 continent. And I was chosen to be the hostess on a seaborne cruise in February that goes to Antarctica. And I'm really looking forward to that. That's not something I'll take a grandchild with me, but I am looking forward to that. I am taking my grandson on a World War tour in September. And we'll visit all of the World War II, World War I battlefields, starting in London with the Imperial War Museum and traveling across the channel, just like the military did back in the day. And then we will visit the Normandy beaches, Omaha Beach and Juno Beach, and then travel on to Paris, which of course was controlled by the Nazis during that time frame. And then we travel out to Dunkirk, and we all know the miracle that happened there and how those men were taken over across the channel to Dover, to the White Cliffs. And then we travel up to Belgium, where you can see the World War I battlefields and memorials, and they even have some of the trenches still that you can see. And you go to Flanders Field, where we know the Canadian doctor who wrote the famous poem, Flanders Field,
right,
because one of his good friends was brought into his field hospital, and you can go to that field hospital where he worked and see the rustic conditions he worked in and wonder that anyone survived if they were wounded. but he had a good friend who was brought into that field hospital and he wasn't able to save him. And that's when he wrote that poem.
Yeah.
That we all know.
I'm glad that you're taking one of your grandchildren, because it's so important, I think, for the younger generations to learn the history.
Yes.
And identify with just what the horrors of war actually are.
Exactly.
One of those lines, I think it may be from that poem in Flanders Fields, is "Lest we forget." We just can't forget about those. History has a way of hiding things as years go by, but we can't forget that, because there was, the greatest generation are gradually leaving us.
Right.
So it's
Sadly.
it's up to us to keep that flame alive. And historical tours like this, I think, are just a wonderful thing. Just a wonderful thing.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I also know that you are a big fan of river cruising and AmaWaterways.
Yes.
Got any plan for Ama?
Yes, I think experiencing a river cruise is a must for everyone, because it's just so convenient. Yeah. You unpack once and your hotel moves you from port to port while you sleep at night, and in the morning you get to experience a whole new destination.
Yep.
So I'm taking a granddaughter with me, and we're going to cruise on the Rhine for 11 nights from Amsterdam to down to Basel, Switzerland.
Right.
And we get to see the castles. And because we're going in late in November, we will get to see a lot of the Christmas markets. So that'll be fun. And because we're starting in Amsterdam, of course, because I'm such a history buff, I plan to take her to see Anne Frank's house, and also a little lesser known family was the Ten Boom family. And they lived there near Amsterdam also, and had a watch shop. And you get to kind of see the other side of the story there, because they were Protestants and they risk everything to hide the Jews and protect them. And the majority of the family were killed in the concentration camps, along with the Jews, because of their activities in hiding them and protecting them. So she'll get to see both sides of that issue: a little Jewish girl who was affected, and then the Protestant family who protected the Jews.
So, Colleen, if people, we talked about the World War II tour. And I believe that's with Trafalgar.
Yes, it is.
And this river cruise that you're talking about is with AmaWaterways. If people wanted to join you on this, they can reach out to you through your website?
Yes.
All right. Well, Colleen, that's been wonderful. I'm really fascinated to actually look into learning more about dude ranches. We look forward to Disney getting back to full capacity and restoring the magic. And I wish you and all those grandchildren all the best in your travels in 21 and 22.
Thank you, Ken. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.